Maia, thank you. Thank you for sitting down with me.
Thank you for having me.
I am just so excited to hear more about your journey to arrival here and now. We are newfound friends.
We are.
But I feel like we are absolute old souls together.
100%. We're from the same soul group, 100%.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to allow you to speak to the beginning point. Speak a little bit around your journey from your 20s, 30s, 40s to arrival now.
Well, it's been quite a wild ride. I would say, let's see, 20s was right. I was living in Washington, D.C. I was in college. I was a very different person than the person I am now. Really just wanted to have a good time. Like a lot of 20-year-olds do. But I really did. I really just wanted to experience everything there was to experience. And I think because I came from a very conservative background in terms of where I was raised, I really let the gates went open when I got out of Indiana, which is where I was raised. So in college, I was there. I would meditate every once in a while or go to a yoga class, but I was really focused on my social and dating at that time. And I would say after college, life took me to Chicago, and that is where I got my start in the advertising industry. So I was an account manager, account rep there, and then that is where I discovered producing. So producing photo shoots at that time. I worked for an ad agency, and it was for a catalog, basically, like a Spiegel kind of place.
Oh, I remember
Spiegel. Yeah. So it was in Chicago. So, that's what we were kind of doing. I had a couple of clients and we would have photo shoots, and I was always on set for that. And I thought, oh my gosh, this looks like the most amazing job ever. I want this job. Ended up getting it. And I loved it. It took me to Miami, where I produced on and off down there. I was also an agent for photography and hair and makeup stylist.
Wow.
And then I ended up in New York after that. And first I started at a modeling agency and quickly realized it wasn't for me at that time, and then got a job that same day I quit. I got a job at a photo studio where I stayed for about 6 or 7 years. And then I opened my own production casting company for myself after that. And I was having a great time with it. I was living in New York City, living the dream. I really, when you have a list of things that you want to check off that you do in your life, I did it. By 30, I was like, oh my God, my list is done. What else could there possibly be? I thought I would probably meet someone and have kids fairly soon after. That didn't happen. But in my journey, in my life in New York, things started to, I guess, crumble a little bit in terms of the way I thought where my life was going to go. And in that struggle, I found my brother suggested I start meditating. And I thought, okay, I need anything to calm my mind down. I have a Gemini moon, so it's a lot of activity in the brain. So it's just this all the time. So that really helped. And then I started going to a Buddhist center in New York and learned that style of meditation and spirituality. And then I would just find different things or little classes or a program of some kind, and I would get involved, and it just kind of really, really opened me up spiritually in that way. And I started really connecting to my higher self, to the point that I would walk down the street and I feel like I was floating above myself. And I thought, what's going on? I mean, and the things that I used to love, I stopped loving. The people that I would hang out with, and my interests started really changing, and I was really going inward at that time.
What age is this? I'm just curious.
Let's say in my 30s. This was in my 30s. I was in my 30s all through New York, basically. I was there for about 11 years. So I got there at 29 and left at 40. So I just knew there was something else, and there was something inside. I did feel that there was many, many things I needed to work on for myself. I even stopped dating because I thought, why would I bring my toxicity into someone else and that's not fair to them, and it's not fair to me, because I know I can't give myself into fully a relationship. So I really just focused on myself, my own healing, my own bliss, as it were, and trying to really find out what lights me up at that time, because I really didn't know. And then I had some health issues in 2008. when the economy crashed, everything went to hell. I ended up moving home to my parents' home for a year. And I ended up seeing a psychiatrist, but it's like a physio psychiatrist. So basically he tested every single thing in my body, every organ, my blood, everything. And it came to realize, oh, you have mercury poisoning. Oh, you have gut rot. Oh, you have all of this other stuff going on. And it's mimicking, right, depression and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, brain wide open. Who knew? If people just changed their diet,
Yeah.
but hey, that's another conversation. But yeah, so that helped me kind of reset myself. In 2008, I went back to square zero and I started over. So then I moved back to New York and I worked for a modeling agency there. And I was very scared to re-enter society. I'm not going to lie. I don't drink anymore. I don't party anymore. I don't do all of this stuff. Now I'm very, very, very sensitive energetically. So I didn't know if that was going to be a harmonious environment. I ended up meeting amazing people. I met some of my best friends in the world I've met at that company. And I also needed something to do on the side. So I started learning Reiki at that time. And after I got my Reiki 1 certification, I found a hospital in New York, and they had a program by Donna Karen, had donated and created this amazing healing program at this particular hospital, Beth Israel, and Reiki was a part of it. And so I went and I met with the head nurse. I gave her a treatment. She said I was so talented that she let me in. Normally they don't let level 1 in. It was 3 and up. So I started doing that after work several nights a week, and I was electrified. I could see that I was helping people. I was working on post-operative patients, and it was absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe it myself when I was working with these people. And yeah, that kind of lit the fire. And I'm like, okay, wait, this is something I have that I know that I have other gifts, and they're being unlocked. They're starting to become unlocked.
You started really feeling them open up. So it felt like, did it feel like a blockage before and then an opening, or did it feel kind of like an unknown? And then,
I've always,
once you got health and everything,
I
aligned.
think, I feel like if you could look at yourself as a little kid and look and see, what were you playing with? What were you talking about? What were you into? And then look again as you're an older person and see where your life has gone, right? I'm very, very lucky in that I was always interested in spirituality from a very young age. I didn't know it. I didn't grow up with parents that were especially in tune in that way. Mm-hmm. So they just thought it was cute that I loved astrology and astrology books. They thought it was cute if we walked by a store and I was like, we go in the crystal shop. I did not know why. I just loved being in that space.
You were just drawn to it, and you remember it.
I remembered it. And I remembered, I loved the hippie people. I loved going into the earth store, and I loved, it's just different. But I do walk in both worlds. 100%. I have a foot in both worlds. And I think that is very unique because a lot of people, it's like way one way or one the other. They don't really ride the wave.
Yeah.
But that happens to me in most areas of my life, to be honest. I think it's because I'm biracial, so I can walk a line. I've been able to do that my whole life. So understanding both of those worlds and kind of having how to merge those two together.
Yeah.
And I actually think my journey is currently showing me how to weave those two together. Because also at that time that I was I was involved in that, and I liked, was being drawn to those places. I also loved fashion, and I loved photography books, and I loved looking at the models. I memorized all of their names. I knew everything. Wow. I had collected every Elle magazine in the 80s, every single one. I knew every girl. And I just was like, this is magical. This is art, living art. Who doesn't want to be a part of this, right? I'm like, so lo and behold, I found myself in the fashion industry. And it wasn't something I ever really tried for. It just kind of naturally I landed there. So, and in that space, that is where then it took me right back into healing, if that makes sense. So being able to now I'm in a place where I can balance the two, and it's just amazing. But I can say after I left New York, I moved to California, then I started a modeling agency there. And I was now very much deeper into my spiritual practice. So I would go to Agape, which is a church there, which is very all encompassing, very, very spiritual. I wouldn't say religious, but I would say spiritual in terms of energy, talking about energy constantly.
Beautiful.
And I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. So, and there's tons of healers in LA. It's a place that a lot of people, I think a lot of healers go to, but I also know it is a place that a lot of people need healing in. Los Angeles can be a very toxic, low vibrational place, to be honest. So it looks beautiful, but the energy there is very dark and low. So being able to have these gifts and be able to have access to this stuff regularly was a miracle for me. And yeah, and in California, I became a Reiki Master there while I was building the company. And I started kind of infusing that into my business, to be honest. And I think that's what one of the things that helped set us apart. People would come into our agency. I'd have the sage burning. We had candles. Like, what do you want to manifest? Write it down. Let's talk about it. We work together. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's all about energy. You know, it doesn't need to be so critical and so severe.
Yeah.
And I know you know about how it works.
I would have never experienced an agency like that.
Yeah.
And where it wasn't just external and the, harsh critique, and where it actually was a calling and a balancing of energy and a welcoming, which is really incredible. Like, wow.
It was great. And because I think that's my authentic self. So that's how I present myself.
Absolutely.
And I was so thrilled to be able to do that in my business. And a lot of my employees were much younger than I, but I think that I taught them about that as well. And it's like, everything's energy. Come on, guys, let's talk about it. And guess what? The next email I got was the thing we were just talking about. Boom. So working in that kind of environment it was really positive. It was amazing to see how it actually works in real life, in practice, and to be able to teach young women, you have power. We have power, and we have been taught we don't for a long time. That has literally been indoctrinated into us. We have to rely on a guy, or, now, thank God it's changing. I mean, when you and I were younger, that was a completely different, this wasn't even a conversation to be had. I think that really was also another turning point. It just kept pushing me further and further into the space where I am now. And I think eventually, once I started working in LA with Reiki, I was working on hospice patients at that time. And everyone would probably say, oh my God, what are you doing? That is horrible. That sounds so depressing and sad. It's actually beautiful.
Yeah. That's
and I find end of life is something we don't speak about, but I find that as beautiful as a birth. It is the most amazing thing. It really is, to see a slip of a spirit leave someone's body and know that they are still there. It was just their shell. That was just their suit, and that's it. They're still here. So doing Reiki in that space, I was like, okay, here we go again, Maia. You're getting further and further into the spiritual healing. This is what you were supposed to be doing. And I started having accidents and things that were going on physically with my body. And I'm like, right, okay, got it, heard it. I'm walking in the wrong direction. I'm going the wrong way.
Wow. So you noticed it from your 30s, am I right? That's when you first kind of went through the detox.
Yes.
And then it showed itself again. So you were noticing the pattern. You're like, all right.
10 years later, it came up again. And I'm like, oh, right. Okay, walking the wrong way.
Yeah.
And the universe will tell you, if you are walking the wrong way, your stuff's not going to me. I understand that we've all been taught hard work, work hard, prove yourself. However, that is not the law of the universe, right? The law of the universe is like, do what you love.
Yeah.
And it's not working. The law of the universe is do what lights you up, and it does not feel like work.
Yes.
You share your gift in the way you're supposed to share it, and it isn't work. You're making money and you're helping other people or doing whatever it is that is your gift is. Maybe that's making money for other people. Maybe that's helping people resolve disputes, whatever.
Absolutely.
So, or teaching or whatever that is. So I think it's been a huge pull for me. I'm like, I have to be authentic. I cannot lie about who I am, how I project myself. It needs to be authentic. And it's taken a long time, but I embrace it now. and my gifts are coming more and more online every day. We have so many planetary shifts happening. My goodness, astrologically and otherwise. And it's kind of an exciting time. It's a complete rebirth. And I see it not only in myself, I see it in you, I see it in tons of other people now. So I know I'm not alone in the journey. Sometimes it feels very solitary.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of like a little, a small nutshell about how I got to where I am now. And yeah, I think trials and tribulations, learning through people. I know Los Angeles for me was a very big lesson. A lesson for me in my boundaries, a lesson for me in my self-worth. And a lot of those lessons were very, very, very painful. But I'm so grateful because I realize I will never compromise myself again. I feel like a warrior at this point. So it is actually a really beautiful space to be. But I'm at the beginning of this new journey. And so it is a little scary. It is a little trepidatious about it, but it's amazing.
We have Teddy who's speaking to us right now.
And Teddy is the confirmation.
Teddy's like, yes, Maya. We have a little dog in the background that's just confirming that as we are sharing this beautiful heart thread. And I love it. I mean, it's so inspiring. And also to be able to be so in tune and so self-aware to notice when the universe is presenting, it's asking you to go a different direction. And to be able to be open enough and to surrender to it and to step deeper into, your gifts. I mean, when I met you, I was like, Maya, oh my, you are such an incredible healer. And everything that you spoke to, your authenticity it's huge. And it is magnetizing, it's inspiring. And I think that this is the direction that we all need to go, is to, I think there are old parts of ourselves that were there for a reason, but they fall apart or fall away. And then we come back more into what you were speaking to, the innocence when you were younger and the gifts that we're born here with.
100%.
And it's incredible to hear how you've infused your spirituality into the modeling industry, into, the business that you have. And I'm really excited to hear about your business now, where you're offering your healing modalities.
I'm so excited too. So I have a new business, Soul Spring Healing, and I'm going to be offering, I do life coaching like you, but that's not really the main focus. I do Reiki energy work. I did get certification in all of that as well in Los Angeles. So I'm bringing that to the table. And also I am learning something called Rapid Transformational Therapy. And I'm almost completed with my certification there, but that is life-changing. That has changed my life. And I really am so, so, so excited to bring that to other people and help change their lives. I know that I'm here to do that because I feel like I do that innately. I'm the kind of person that I walk into a store and someone tells me their problem or their life, and I'm just there to get a t-shirt. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like that. So, and it makes me feel good. Like my mom always said, God, you're the one that finds all the animals and brings them home. And that would include friends or anyone that was having a hard time. I'm like, oh, can they come over? So now I use it correctly. I don't use it. I don't misuse that, I guess, character trait, the helper, right? That's my Enneagram type. But it's like, it has to be used correctly. I can only help people that are asking for the help and that will do the work. Yeah. Otherwise it doesn't work. Absolutely. Me inserting myself no, that doesn't. Me offering doesn't. You have to come to me to do it. I can offer, and if you accept it, it can work that way, I suppose, but it has to come through me. And of course, this goes back to human design. We'll just weave that right on in. And I got intensely involved in human design during COVID. I had surgery, so I was laid up in my couch for weeks at a time. And I dove deep into it and loved it. I discovered I'm a 4-1, which is one of the rarest combinations there is. And okay, 4-1, super rare, Super rare. So, and when I discovered that about myself, I thought, oh my God, this is so amazing. If we could all figure out how we worked, we all have a car. I loved analogies. And we're all a different make and model. Well, there's three kinds of gas to put in a car. There's unleaded, whatever, maybe diesel, premium, whatever the categories. Very limited. However, we are not. We are all different makes and models of cars. We all have the cars drive differently. They break differently. They gear up differently. They need different kinds of care. And I just thought, oh my God, if everybody could figure out what their human design was and you learned who they are in your family, in your relationship, wouldn't this make life absolutely amazing?
Absolutely. And I love the analogy of cars.
Yeah, I'm like, we're all different. And I realized in my family, I am the black sheep. My family is all the same. There are 5 ones, right? The heretic investigator. So they are the ones that poke holes in your idea. Like, oh, hey, I want to be an architect. Well, I don't know if you can do that. You know, if that is the conversation.
Yeah.
And I am buoyant and light and woo, we can make anything happen. So growing up in that environment, I had to fight for myself quite a bit, you know,
Wow.
and for my own dream. And now I love it and I own it. And if someone says, oh, well, Maya, I don't know about that. I'm like, well, I'm doing it anyway.
Yes.
It's not your chair. I'm doing it. Just the knowledge of that and knowing how you work just goes so far. But I don't even know why I brought that up, but it just came up. So
Exactly. You're just sharing what's coming through. And that's what I love because you're multifaceted in your knowledge and spirituality in so many different ways. And this is what happened when I met you and when we dropped in. And I was just like, tell me more.
tell you more. And I want to share it. And that is
Yeah.
part of that 4. The 4 is sharing my information, which is the 1. I go and gather all of this info and then I just want to vomit it, word vomit it all over everybody I know. And some people get into it and some people don't. I know I have overwhelmed people with my links to websites and articles.
Not me.
But I'm just happy to get the information. It makes me very happy to share it.
Yeah.
Even in that regard.
What's your sun, rising, moon?
My moon is a Gemini. My sun, I'm a Cancer, like you. So Cancer girl, sun, moon is Gemini, and my rising is Libra. I have a Venus in Cancer as well. Very much of a lover girl. And my Mars is in Aries. So that makes me spicy. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Do you think you'll be incorporating astrology also with soul spring healing?
You know, I'm not an astrologer. I know people that are astrologers, but I just have an interest.
Yeah.
Whenever I have tried to, and maybe it's not the time for me yet, you know,
Mhm.
sometimes you find things and you love them but you don't quite understand. And I think that's because it's not time for you to fully engage with that, but it's still an interest. So I'm learning more and more. Once I start reading and getting really, it's like when a real astrologer would say, I'm like, okay, I don't really, it's too much information. You're using words I don't know what they mean. You know, it gets kind of crazy.
The way you communicate when you find out my signs or anyone else's, you're speaking a language that's very digestible compared to other astrologers. But I also feel this with you in your communication period. I mean, it's just very clear and it opens my heart right away. And I would love to hear a little bit more about RTT also, because this is fascinating. I know it goes into the subconscious.
100%.
And this is something that I look forward to working with you and receiving. And I'd love to know a little bit more.
Yeah. So RTT, it was started by Marissa Peer is who I'm learning it from. She is been doing this for years. She's been a therapist for years. And then she discovered this new way of therapizing, I guess. And it is actually done through hypnosis. So the person is put into hypnosis, into hypnotic state, which is nothing to be alarmed about. It's literally just a sleep state. It's the kind of state you would get when you're driving the car. You kind of zone out on the freeway. It's that's the level of where you're going. And then while you're down there, we investigate anything that you have brought to the table that you want to heal. So if that is stopping smoking, if that is, weight loss, if that is self-image, is that relationship issues, whatever, really. It can almost apply to anything and everything. But we go down and we find the actual real reason where that belief came from.
Like the
Because,
root cause.
yeah,
And is
because
it typically something that happened from your childhood?
typically I have found
Or-
it is.
Okay.
It is something that has occurred to you, and your little brain at the age of 3 made a connection at that age. And it has been being reinforced until now, unbeknownst to yourself. And that was just part of your belief system or your family's belief system.
Yeah.
Or maybe your mother, you heard your mother say something to your dad in a certain way, and that for whatever reason clicked in your head, and that's now affecting you today. So it's really quite interesting. And then after that, we interrupt that entire conversation and erase it. And then we reprogram you with the positive version of who you actually want to be, how you want to feel in that scenario. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. It's clearing out an old narrative and bringing in new and
Yeah.
creating space to build those neural pathways.
Think
Start
like
having them fire.
everyone has this Apple computer. We all have it. And they update automatically overnight. That's exactly what this is. This is a system upgrade. That is what you're getting. And it is life-changing. It is life-changing. Only because I've experienced it myself firsthand. I had been struggling my whole entire life, ever since I started getting a period, to be honest, with PMDD, which is called premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is very severe PMS to the point that you become suicidal. There's suicidal ideation. You turn into a nightmare, a literal walking nightmare. You are crying constantly, fighting with other people. You just want to be alone. You eat all the time. Sometimes there's other physical symptoms, but horrifying depression. And I realized that I'd been living this way. I'd been gaslit from every doctor I went to when I tell them what was going on. Oh, yeah, I just have a bad period. Sorry. They put me on birth control, which would exacerbate it and make it worse. So I just figured it's something that I had to deal with. And I never spoke about it with any other woman because I figured every woman deals with this. They just don't talk about it. Lo and behold, that's not really the case. And then I was an anomaly in that way. Anyway, last year, it kind of came to a head. I was not able to stop crying for weeks at a time. And my mom actually heard a podcast and recommended it to me. And when I heard it, I was very skeptical and thought, well, I mean, like, this is last resort. I don't know what I'm going to do, if I'm going to check myself into a home or what. And I signed up to do a session with her. And on the first session, I walked out of the room like a completely different person. I could feel my energy shift and everything. And I haven't really cried since.
Wow.
If I have cried, it would be because there is something to be crying about, not just because. I know things working or whatever. So it is, or because someone said something to me that was inappropriate, and so now I'm crying. Those are appropriate responses. So I am like, oh my God, if this thing can heal something in me that I thought was completely unhealable, and I have lived with for most of my life, and now it is gone. Oh my God, this is liberation. I was like, I have to be able to do this with other people. I have to be able to let them out of the cage that they're in. I was let out of a cage. And yeah, now I'm a functioning member of society again. But it's like my outlook is different. And the hypnosis is really amazing. I actually listened to my recording for like 65 days in a row because I was like, this is fuel for my bones and for my brain. So yeah, I just really, really would love to be able to bring other people that magical healing, to be honest.
And you said your recording. So are you going to be offering these that will be available for people to drop into, whether we book a session with you or we can go onto the site and purchase to receive? That's incredible.
100%. We'll be doing tons of hypnosis recordings. I love doing it. I have a deep voice. So
your voice is incredible.
When I get into my zone, it gets really melodic.
Yeah.
And yeah. So that's what I'm really hoping to kind of go down this road. And I would just, I want to help people. And I know that the world is throbbing for help. It is begging for help. And people don't know where to go or what to do or how to solve. And I think this is the age of the healer. And I think we're all kind of coming online right now.
Yeah.
People that are in our past lives, that wasn't really our narrative, that wasn't the direction. It's like all of a sudden you're seeing a lot of people being shifted into this space. And I think it's because it's time,
It is.
like worldwide, like energetically, astrologically,
I think
all of the things.
all of the things are aligning. And
Yeah.
I think that there is a lot of us and what we're experiencing, the pain points, what's happening in our lives is bringing us to a place of more openness and realizing there has to be something else besides just pushing our way through or thinking that this is our destiny, that we actually get to choose ourselves and to be able to work with people like you who can heal and help be that guiding light to get us back to our authentic selves and our purpose.
100%. We all deserve to be living our authentic self and make no apologies for it. It doesn't really matter what you're into. Own it. It's okay. There's going to be
Absolutely.
someone that vibrates right to you. I promise, So,
Thank you, Maia.
you're welcome.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the work that you are doing, what you are offering. And I will include a link so everyone can connect with Maia.